Welcome to Soul and Love Stories. Ever wondered what happens when a coma wake-up call sparks a love you never saw coming? Dive into A Poor Girl Woke Up from a Coma, and a millionaire doctor was waiting for falling in love. Her, where Callie, a quirky delivery girl buried in hustle, crashes her bike and wakes up to Leo, the dreamy doctor who's secretly a millionaire hospital CEO. Will his tender care win her heart or send her running when the truth spills? Hit like if you're ready for this rom-com whirlwind. Comment your city, where are you watching from? And subscribe. Let's hit 1,000 subs to send 1,000 hearts, cheering Callie and Leo's sweet wild ride. Start watching now. This love story, from a rainy crash to a rooftop kiss, is too good to miss. Callie Brooks, 26, is a poor girl living in a rickety old RV parked on the outskirts of Los Angeles. Her life is a whirlwind of three jobs: waitressing in the morning, delivering food at night, and selling handmade crafts online after dark. Callie doesn't own a fancy motorcycle or designer shoes, just a beat-up bicycle she affectionately calls Iron Horse. Every time she pedals to make a delivery, she belts out an off-key rendition of Can't Help Falling in Love, prompting the neighborhood dogs to bark along like a backup choir. One rainy night, Callie takes an urgent pizza delivery order. The roads are slick, the wind biting, but she pedals like the wind, muttering, "Just 10 more bucks to fix the RV heater." Then a truck loaded with wedding flowers swerves out of control toward her. "Oh, Mom!" she screams before crashing to the ground. White roses scatter over her, turning her into an accidental bride, lying motionless in the rain. The panicked driver calls for help, while Callie, in her final hazy thought, muses, "If I die like this, at least it's dazzling." She's rushed to St. Hope Hospital in a deep coma. Doctors shake their heads, their prognosis grim. But then a figure steps into the ER, holding a cold cup of coffee. It's Dr. Leo Carter, 32, the hospital director, a secret millionaire no one knows the true identity of. He stands in the shadows watching Callie lie there, her wet hair strewn with petals. Something about her poverty, her resilience, and the humor of her broken bike beside her, stirs an odd emotion in him. "She's not allowed to give up," he whispers, then orders the nurses, "I'll oversee this case myself." The staff exchange surprised glances. A senior doctor like Leo hasn't taken shifts in years, so why care so much for a penniless delivery girl? The mystery begins here. For the 2 months Callie lay motionless in her hospital bed, Dr. Leo Carter became her silent companion. He showed up every day, despite a packed meeting schedule or calls from the board of directors. Callie's room was always filled with the scent of fresh flowers, lavender one day, white daisies the next, and the soft hum of jazz from a small speaker he brought. Leo sat by her side sharing impromptu stories about a stray cat he once rescued, or the time he set the kitchen ablaze trying to make tomato soup. "She needs someone to believe she'll wake up," he told the head nurse when asked why, his eyes gleaming with resolve. But no one knew that Leo's devotion stemmed from a deep memory. Callie, with her tousled hair and the faint smile he imagined from photos in her wallet, reminded him of his mother, a poor woman who raised him alone before succumbing to illness. He saw in Callie the resilience he'd once admired, and he vowed not to let her face solitude as his mother had. To care for her better, Leo cooked soup himself, though his culinary skills were hilariously disastrous. Once he spilled an entire bowl of pumpkin soup on his white coat, standing there dumbfounded like a scolded schoolboy. A passing nurse burst out laughing. "A doctor like this? She'll wake up and run for the hills." Leo scratched his head, quipping, "If she runs, that's a win. I'll have less to do." Yet he patiently cleaned up, cooked again, and fed her through the tube, whispering, "Hang in there, Callie, it's not half bad." A small but surprising detail emerged in the 6th week. While tidying Callie's belongings, Leo found a handmade bracelet of rope and wooden beads, a piece she'd sold online. He smiled, slipping it onto his wrist as a reminder, then placed a similar new one by her pillow. A nurse spotted it, teasing, "This romantic doctor's beyond saving." Leo just grinned, saying nothing, but his eyes shone with an inexplicable determination. He wasn't just tending to Callie as a patient. He was caring for her as someone he'd quietly placed his faith and hope in. The big question lingered. Why would a man like Leo pour his heart into a girl he'd never met before? After 2 months submerged in darkness, Callie Brooks blinked awake on a gentle, sunny morning. Light streamed through the white curtains, illuminating her face, and the first thing she saw was a stranger sitting by her bed, holding the little prince. He wore a white coat, his hair slightly tousled, his warm brown eyes gazing at her with a faint smile. Callie frowned, her raspy voice croaking out her first question. "Am I dead? Are you an angel? How are you this good-looking?" Leo Carter, who'd been by her side for 60 days, chuckled softly, setting the book down. "Welcome back to the world," he said, his tone tender, as if he'd rehearsed it 100 times. Callie glanced around, bewildered. Her head throbbed faintly, her memories fragmented. Rain, a bicycle, and falling flowers. She touched her forehead, muttering, "Who am I? Where am I? And who are you, staring at me like I'm buried treasure?" Leo smiled. "I'm Leo, the one who's been waiting for you to wake up. And you're Callie, the most stubborn girl I've ever met." But Callie wasn't convinced. She squinted, suspicious. "Waiting for me? Are you a doctor or some con artist in disguise? Nobody's that nice." Leo just laughed, offering no defense, his eyes glinting with an odd patience. She began noticing strange details. A pot of lavender on the table, a handmade bracelet identical to one she'd crafted lying by her pillow, and a faint soup aroma, nothing like a hospital smell. "What did you do to make my room feel like a spa?" she asked, her tone a mix of curiosity and wariness. Leo shrugged, replying vaguely, "You're the most special patient I've ever had. That's all." That threw Callie off. Special? Her, a broke delivery girl, special to a doctor who looked like he'd stepped out of a Hollywood movie? Though her mind was still foggy, Callie felt an inexplicable safety in Leo's gaze, a familiarity she couldn't place. Yet she kept her guard up, whispering to herself, "If he's really a doctor, something's fishy. Nobody's this kind for free." Leo, as if reading her thoughts, simply smiled and stood to pour her water. "Rest, Callie. You've got the whole world to grill me later." His words, warm yet enigmatic, sent a faint tremor through her heart, though she wasn't ready to admit it. Callie began her recovery journey, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. She suffered from short-term memory loss. Each morning she woke up forgetting the previous day. Leo, with infinite patience, became her reluctant personal doctor. "Hi, I'm Leo, your walking coach for today," he'd say daily, as if meeting her for the first time. Callie, though shy, always shot back her go-to line. "You can't be a doctor. Too handsome. Straight out of Netflix." The nurses outside the door overheard and giggled. She forgets everything, but not her taste in men. One afternoon, Leo decided to help Callie walk. He lifted her up, holding her hands firmly. But instead of guiding her through boring steps, he whispered, "How about a dance?" Before she could protest, he pulled her into a clumsy waltz right there in the room. Callie stumbled, yelling, "Are you crazy? I can barely walk." But Leo just grinned, spinning her once, nearly knocking over a vase. Her face flushed, heart pounding, unsure if it was fear of falling or the warmth of his grip. "You're a terrible dancer, but I like it," Leo teased, prompting Callie to pout. "And you dance like a chicken caught in a net." Still, questions gnawed at her. Why would a busy doctor spend hours with her? She overheard nurses whispering, "You're so lucky. Hottest doc in the hospital by your side every day." But Callie wasn't buying that as the full story. She secretly jotted notes in a little book Leo gave her, since she feared forgetting, scribbling things like, "Leo, doctor, too nice, suspicious. What's his deal?" Once she blurted out, "Are you paid to babysit me or something?" Leo burst into laughter, replying, "No, I volunteered. You're worth more than you think." That answer threw her off. Worth? A homeless, broke girl with barely any memories? Doubt swelled inside her, but her heart, though she wouldn't admit it, was softening under his smile. Callie's memory slowly returned. But her curiosity about Leo only grew. One morning, while practicing walking in the hallway, she caught sight of Leo leaving a patient's room. He nodded to a driver in a black suit standing by a gleaming Bentley. The driver opened the door, Leo slid in, and the car vanished in a puff of exhaust. Callie froze, leaning on her crutches, muttering, "What kind of doctor rides in a car like that? Something's definitely shady." She turned to a nearby nurse. "Who is he, really?" The nurse shrugged, smirking mysteriously. "I've heard the hospital CEO's a young doctor, but who knows?" Callie decided to investigate. She sneakily borrowed a nurse's phone and Googled Dr. Leo Carter, but found nothing beyond a few old articles about St. Hope Hospital. "He's good at staying off the radar," she whispered, scribbling in her notebook. "Leo, fancy car, driver, possibly undercover mafia." One day, pretending to sleep during Leo's visit, she overheard him on the phone. "No, I'm not selling shares. Tell them to wait till I'm back." Callie peeked, stunned. Shares? Was he a doctor or a businessman? Her suspicions peaked when she found a business card that slipped from Leo's coat pocket. Leonard Carter, CEO, St. Hope Hospital. Her heart raced as she clutched it, thinking, "Oh my God, he's the big boss? Then why is he playing nanny to me?" The next day, she confronted him. "What do you do outside this hospital to afford that fancy ride?" Leo chuckled, scratching his head. "Oh, just some side stuff." Callie pouted. "Side stuff with a driver opening doors? Are you a billionaire hiding it from me?" Leo didn't answer directly. Instead, he handed her a hot coffee, saying, "Drink this. Don't overthink it. I'm still your Leo." Callie took the cup, glaring at him, but her mind was a tangled mess. Who was he really? A kind doctor or a millionaire with secrets bigger than she could fathom? Doubt mingled with the warmth she felt, leaving her torn between trust and fear. Callie grew accustomed to Leo's presence, though doubts about him still lingered in her mind. One sleepless night, as she stared at the ceiling, she saw Leo quietly enter her room. He placed a small pot of lavender by the window, moonlight casting a tender glow on his face. Callie pretended to sleep, but her heart raced as he sat beside her, gently taking her hand. "You were unconscious, but I never stopped believing you'd wake up," he whispered, his voice warm like a promise. Unable to hold back, Callie opened her eyes, silent tears slipping down her cheeks. It wasn't just his words that moved her. It was the way he looked at her, as if she were his entire world. The next day, Leo wheeled her to the hospital garden to stargaze. He shared a childhood dream. "I wanted to be an astronaut, fly to Mars, but I realized caring for people is what I'm good at." Callie grinned, countering with her own tale. "I once fell asleep in my RV, and my roommate drew a beard on me. Woke up thinking I was a pirate." Leo's laughter echoed through the quiet night, making Callie blush. "You're hilarious," he said, his eyes twinkling under the stars. In that moment, they sat closer. Leo pointed skyward. "See that brightest star?" "I named it Callie." She teased. "So cheesy. Did you steal that from a movie?" But when he turned, his gaze locked onto hers. Time seemed to freeze. His hand brushed hers on the wheelchair's armrest. Both flinched, then laughed awkwardly. "I'm so clumsy," Leo said, scratching his head, while Callie thought, "I'm not much better." Though questions about Leo's identity lingered, Callie couldn't deny her heart's quickening beats. He wasn't just a doctor. He made her feel worthy, something she'd never dared believe. That night, she scribbled in her notebook, "Leo, mysterious, but warm. Am I going crazy?" His smile haunted her dreams. Callie couldn't stand the curiosity any longer. One afternoon, as Leo wheeled her to the garden, she demanded, "Who are you, really? Don't just say doctor, I won't buy it." Leo paused, sighed, then took her to the hospital rooftop, a place off limits to others. Under the sunset's glow, he pointed to a carved photo on the wall, an older woman with a kind face, inscribed below, "Margaret Carter, founder of St. Hope." "That's my mother," Leo said, his voice low. "I'm her successor, the CEO of this hospital." Callie froze, gripping the wheelchair's arms. "CEO? You're a millionaire. How could you play nanny to me every day?" She stood, legs shaky, voice trembling. You pitied me, didn't you? A broke delivery girl. Leo shook his head, but Callie wouldn't listen. She turned away, storming off in anger, tears blurring her vision. Rain suddenly poured, and she slipped. Leo rushed forward, catching her in his arms, both drenched. I didn't pity you, he shouted over the rain. I hid the truth because I was terrified of losing you if you knew I was rich. Callie shoved him back, yelling, Lose me? What do I have worth losing? Leo grabbed her hands, pulling her up, his eyes blazing. You're everything. When you lay there, lifeless, I saw my mother in you, resilient, more precious than anything I own. I don't need money, Callie. I need you. She stood still, rain streaming down her face, heart pounding. You're crazy, she whispered, but didn't pull away. Leo knelt, heedless of his soaked coat, his voice urgent. I've loved you since you opened your eyes, since you called me an angel with that hoarse voice. I didn't tell you because I feared you'd run, but now I'd trade everything to keep you here. Callie gazed at him, tears mingling with rain. She laughed through a sob. You cared for me when I had nothing. I love who you are, not your bank account. There in the downpour, they held each other tight. Callie murmured, You're such an idiot, but I like that idiocy. Leo smiled, kissing her forehead, and for the first time, no barriers remained. The climax of fate had arrived, and their love, born from broken pieces, became the most beautiful thing. After the rainy confession, Callie and Leo became inseparable. Callie fully recovered, yet Leo still showed up daily, bringing coffee and a smile she couldn't resist. One evening, he invited her to the hospital rooftop, saying, Tonight's a farewell party. You're healed. I don't need to play nanny anymore. Callie forced a smile, a pang of sadness hitting her. So that's it? Wearing a simple dress he'd given her, she followed him, unaware of what awaited. When the rooftop door swung open, Callie gasped. Under twinkling golden lights and the lilting sound of a violin, a small table was set. Lavender petals scattered along the path. She turned to Leo, stunned. What kind of farewell is this romantic? He shrugged, grinning mysteriously. Farewell to the nanny gig. Time for a new role. Before she could process it, he dropped to one knee, holding a small box. Callie Brooks, he said, voice trembling. When you woke up, I knew my life would never be the same. Will you marry me? Callie covered her mouth, tears streaming down. Instead of a quick yes, she teased, If you're a millionaire, I want a castle. Leo laughed. Fine, but you're cleaning it. She nodded, smiling through tears. Yes, but you're washing the dishes. They embraced, sharing a sweet kiss under the lights as hidden nurses erupted in applause from behind. Before leaving the rooftop, Leo led her to a corner where a shiny new bicycle waited. A replacement for Iron Horse, he said. From now on, I'll deliver your happiness. Callie threw her arms around him, whispering, You really are my angel. That night they stood together, gazing at the glittering Los Angeles skyline, knowing fate had found them the moment Callie opened her eyes post-coma. A poor girl and a secret millionaire. Their story didn't end in a fairy tale, but in real, simple, warm love. That's a wrap for A Poor Girl Woke Up from a Coma, and A Millionaire Doctor Was Waiting for Falling in Love. Her from Callie's rainy crash to Leo's rooftop proposal, this rom-com whirlwind stole our hearts. Did their love story make you laugh, cry, or believe in fate? Hit like if Callie and Leo's wild ride melted you. Comment below, what's your favorite moment? The valse flop or the rainy confession? And if you love this journey from coma to I do, subscribe now. Let's hit 1,000 subs to spread 1,000 more love stories like theirs. Share this with your crew and tell us your city. Where's this sweet ending reaching you? Thanks for watching. See you in the next Soul and Love adventure.